learn more about the history of television, the Library of Congress suggests these books. Television by Michael Winship, Tube of Plenty, The Evolution of American Television by Eric Barnow, and An Album of Television by Carol A. Emmons. These and many other interesting books are available at your local library and bookstore. Visit them. They'll be happy to help you read more about it.
Monday, we're making America laugh. So attention, everyone, and get ready to join forces with Major Dad.
We love it in our house.
Then Teddy's client goes bananas.
That little scene-stealing toad. He's a monkey. Yeah, then how come he gets all the good lines?
On the famous Teddy's Eve.
Tough break.
Right after Major Dad, Monday.
Tuesday, a woman home alone with a small child is brutally attacked.
Nobody was going to be coming home for a long time.
A woman's test of courage.
On rescue, 911.
This is CBS.
On the 10 p.m. report, folks head home from the long holiday weekend by land and by air.
A St. Paul waitress is hit by a car outside the restaurant where she works.
In Dimension, the I-Team begins its series on a local adoption agency that delivers heartaches instead of healthy children.
And the Minnesota Vikings are not alone in their quest to be the top team in the Central Division. I'm Debbie Fabian, along with Mike Walsher.
This late edition of the 10 p.m. report with Matt Balow and R.J. Fritz is coming your way next.
This Christmas, look to Mills Fleet Farm for special Yuletide savings and enter a world of wonder.
We're working overtime to bring you perfect gifts.
At the best prices.
Make young builders' dreams come true with the Tonka Mighty Dump Truck, quality made for years of fun, just $11.59.
Christmas makes the perfect time for the new Casio Fishing Time watch. Displays time and handy fishing data, now only $28.99.
Santa says
it's the perfect way to make a special day.
Happy holiday value at Mills Fleet Farm.
Introducing a grand opening she can't resist. Every Montgomery Ward store is now celebrating the latest grand opening of gold and gems, featuring our biggest selection ever of diamonds. Precious gemstones. 14-karat gold at 50 to 60% off, with no payments, no interest, no billing until March 1990. And your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. Come celebrate our grand opening with one of your own.
Montgomery Ward, the brand name savings store.
Martex is an English garden made even more charming with a flourish of ruffles. Martex is Renaissance etchings framed by a checkered ribbon. Martex is a Victorian paisley enriched with an opulent tassel, brilliant design, luxurious fabrics, lavish touches for bed and bath. That is the art of Martex. Extraordinary in every detail.
Tonight, the roads are clear, but tomorrow morning, rush hour traffic is expected to be slow and slippery. And by tomorrow afternoon, we just may need to call the plows out.
WCCO Television presents Mike Walsher, Debbie Fabian, Matt Balow, and Ralph John Fritz. This is the 10 p.m. report.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us for the late edition of the 10 p.m. report. In the news tonight, there's more snow on the way to Minnesota.
And it looks as though it is the same storm system that has dumped 2 to 3 feet of snow over parts of the Rocky Mountains. Matt Balow is in our weather center. He's been tracking the storm, and he has the word on when that storm might hit our area and what we can expect from it. Matt?
Yes, Mike, it looks like it could be pretty rough sometime tomorrow morning and throughout most of the day tomorrow. Right now, that storm system is starting to develop back in the Nebraska Panhandle. It's going to take a track right through Iowa and into western Wisconsin by tomorrow night. And with this track, the heaviest snow area is going to be right through the Twin Cities in central Minnesota and back into west central Wisconsin. We're looking for anywhere from 4 to 7 inches here in the Twin Cities out of this storm system, and as much as 6 to 10 inches further up to our north. As a result, the National Weather Service has issued a winter storm warning for all of central Minnesota and western Wisconsin for late tonight and Monday. And for the Twin Cities and the rest of southern Minnesota, there's a snow and blowing snow advisory that'll start later on tonight and continue through tomorrow. Again, rush hour traffic tomorrow morning could be a headache as this rain changes over to snow. And later on in this half hour, I'll tell you what we can expect once this storm system passes tomorrow night. Winter is definitely going to be back on everybody's minds, and we'll be back out in the weather as well. Debbie?
Okay, thanks for keeping us informed, Matt.
You bet.
The weather this holiday weekend has been mostly clear, but unfortunately, the State Patrol is reporting 4 traffic fatalities. A 22-year-old Glencoe man died yesterday when his pickup rolled over near Mankato on Highway 14. Also yesterday, a 19-year-old Rosemont woman died when her car collided with a tractor. 53-year-old Miriam Andrews of Brooklyn Park died in a collision at Brookdale Drive and West River Road yesterday. And this afternoon, a 60-year-old Rochester man was killed when his minivan rolled over on Highway 52 south of Goodhue. Well, a lot of people are still out on the highways tonight, heading home after a long holiday weekend. Right now, traffic is moderate on Interstate 35E, where people are coming from up north. Earlier this afternoon, the roads were a little more crowded, even though quite a few people tried to beat the traffic by coming home last night. Not everyone who visits family on Thanksgiving drives to their destination. Bill Hudson reports that many folks took to the airways this weekend.
This string of headlights pouring into the airport can only mean one thing. The holiday is over, and the mad rush for home is on.
Where did you want to sit?
Traditionally, Thanksgiving travel is the heaviest of the year. More flights, more people, more waiting in line.
It's busy tomorrow morning and it's busy tonight, but we're well staffed.
But for those making a living when the rush is the worst, today's been a bit slower than they'd hoped and less luggage to load.
We do more business during the week than we did this weekend. We were really expecting a big rush and have everybody here, extra carts, everything.
With a kiss and a hug, it's up and away. Another holiday comes to a close in the same hectic fashion as it began. Bill Hudson, WCCO Television News, the Twin Cities.
And airport officials say tomorrow's air traffic is expected to be even heavier. Mike?
Tonight, authorities in Scott and Rice counties are investigating a couple of mysterious and suspicious deaths. Deputies in Scott County found a body in a trash can early this morning. Now, it's not clear whether the death in Shakopee was natural, whether it was an accident, or something else. The sheriff's department there is not even saying whether it's a man or a woman. And police in New Prague found a woman's body in the trunk of a car. The owner of the car, a 30-year-old man from the New Prague area, has been arrested. That man believed to have been the woman's boyfriend. A waitress at Dixie's Bar and Grill in St. Paul is in serious condition this evening after being struck by a hit-and-run driver early this morning. Police say that 32-year-old Shannon Johnson of St. Paul was talking with a friend outside the restaurant when she was run over. She was taken to St. Paul Ramsey Medical Center with multiple injuries. St. Paul police tonight say they are looking for a gray compact car in connection with that hit and run.
Tonight, church leaders from several denominations in the Twin Cities are sending a message to the President and Congress concerning the violence in El Salvador. Members of the group signed a statement today urging President Bush and legislators to stop sending military aid to El Salvador. They say the military support from the U.S. leads to violence and human rights violations. They cite recent attacks and threats on churches there and the murders of 6 Jesuits last week. In El Salvador today, President Alfredo Cristiani suspended diplomatic relations with Nicaragua. Cristiani is accusing Nicaragua of smuggling arms to Salvadoran rebels, and he says he won't attend next month's summit of Central American leaders scheduled to take place in Nicaragua. And in Prague today, another enormous protest. Despite below-zero temperatures, 300,000 took to the streets and filled the national soccer stadium. The crowd chanted, "Not enough," as they seek more reforms and demand democracy. National communist leaders held its second emergency session in 3 days and say more changes are coming. Meanwhile, a 2-hour general strike is set for tomorrow.
Well, some of the biggest sports news here on this Sunday is, as usual, football. And joining us with a first look at some sports briefs is Ralph John Fritz. RJ.
And Mike, the crowd here in Minnesota was yelling, "Enough, enough." You have to go way back to find the last time the Vikings and Packers were tied for first this late in the season. But here we are, only 4 weeks left in the regular season, and the NFC Central Division is a dead heat. Thanks to a hot hand of Mr. Magic, Don Mikowski. The new Polish rifle gunned down the Vikes in Milwaukee this afternoon. Mikowski and the Pack 20-19 winners. Meanwhile, the Chicago Bears and a chance to make it a three-way tie for first, but Washington had other ideas. 38-14 for the Redskins. Mike Ditka said, "I'm not giving the other side any credit. We are just playing atrocious football." And at the Met Center, a fight for first in the Norris Division, the North Stars and Chicago. And listen to this. Gagne has scored 2 for the North Stars. Gartner has scored 2. The final is just in. Minnesota has knocked off Chicago 5-3. We'll have those highlights and many, many more coming up a bit later. Mike?
Well, good news from Met Center. Very good. Thank you, RJ. Well, emotions ran pretty high between the Vikings and Packers this afternoon, as they always do. The Vikes won the earlier meeting this season, but the Packers have been very successful in County Stadium. So here we go with the kickoff. Herschel will bobble the ball. DJ Dozier is on the spot to recover it. But not quite that simple. There's some extracurricular activity involved here. Dozier will take no guff about it, but he winds up being dumped for his trouble. What's more, both teams are on the same sideline at this stadium, so they get to talk about this play in gentlemanly fashion all the way off the field.
What all are they saying? There's much more to come on the 10 p.m. report. After weather, remember scenes like this. Governor Perpich has set aside this next week to help Minnesotans survive the snowy months ahead. And later, we'll hear from the Vienna Choir Boys.
But next in Dimension, an I-Team report on a Minnesota adoption agency that left wishful parents with empty cradles.
Ford F-150's winning the world over with power, savings, and truck month values Chevy can't match. Now get a big 5-liter V8 engine and automatic overdrive transmission at no extra charge. A savings of over $1,400. The Ford F-150, big V8 and automatic transmission, a real big value. America's #1 selling full-size pickup just got better automatically. During truck month at your Ford dealer now.
Have you driven a Ford lately?
Introducing the Espresso Mini from Krups. Just the right size to give you delicious espresso. 1 cup at a time, 2 cups at a time, or even 4 cups at a time. Then turn on the steam and watch deep, dark espresso become heavenly cappuccino, as tempting as this. Krups Espresso Mini. It's as simple as black or white.
Available at Dayton's.
Hello? Joan, where are you?
Almost there.
Give your family on-the-road safety and convenience with a Radio Shack mobile phone. Now just $399. You save $300.
Well, a built-in speaker lets me hear and talk to you and keep my hands on the wheel.
That's great.
I'll call you back. My car's stalling.
A 30-number memory gives you instant auto dial, and you'll feel more secure knowing help is just a phone call away. Radio Shack's mobile phone. Easy to install and only $399 at Radio Shack, the technology store.
When they ski instead of sit, whoosh instead of walk, do instead of don't, they'd love a gift from Huygards. The excitement of skiing, the design of Fisher. 2 components guaranteed to make their winter terrific. Fisher outfits every type of skier, from cross-country to downhill champions. As your ability level rises, so does Fisher's. For sheer performance, outfit them with Fisher this season from Huygards, the Christmas outfitters.
The faces of children, adopted children. Each year, Minnesotans adopt more than 1,000 children, many of them from foreign countries. There are 16 private adoption agencies in this state. Many of them do a good job matching children and parents.
But tonight, the WCCO I-Team begins a disturbing series of reports about one adoption agency which promised people healthy children but left them with empty cradles. And the I-Team's Steve Eckert is here with more. Steve?
Debbie, thank you. Mike. This is a story about hopes and disappointments. People who say a Minnesota-based adoption agency is to blame. For the past 3 months, I-Team producer Chris Cheney and I have been listening to the stories of people who say they are victims of broken promises and broken hearts.
Aaron's going to put his sign language book away, and I bet Katie will be back just like that.
Becky Thomas, teaching first graders at a Christian school.
Very good. That's wonderful.
Across town, her husband Don, running his family's printing business. Together, a young couple from Wisconsin, dreaming of a family.
You know, we were just ecstatic.
Their dreams focused on this picture of a little boy from Peru, 5-year-old Fernando.
And he looked at it, and we fell in love. You know, we began to bond with that picture.
This is going to be the child that is going to be running up and down the steps in our house, and he's going to be playing with the dog out in the backyard.
And he was happy, basically normal, typical, healthy, normal boy is what we were told. And so
Fernando was one of the children advertised available for adoption in this newsletter. It's published by a Minnesota-based adoption agency called Building Families Through Adoption. Building Families was founded by this woman, Pamela Reinert, and her husband, Roger. Pam Reinert travels the world to match children and families. She had been to Peru, and she had seen Fernando.
And that's what impressed us with her agency. She said, I go to these countries. She says, I go with your things in my hand to personally see that we get a good match.
State adoption rules and these national standards say an adoption agency must obtain a written background and a health history on every child. What's more, the rules say that prospective parents must be given a full report so they can decide whether a child's appropriate for them. Now, Becky and Don say they weren't concerned about a child's race or sex. All they really wanted was a healthy child. This is what Pam Reinert wrote about Fernando. It says he'd been born prematurely and had some early health problems. But now, at age 5, he was a normal child with a normal IQ. This is a child who you would have seen, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a child you took a picture of.
Yes.
This is a child you received medical information about.
I received only verbal information that was told to me through a translator.
Pam Reinert says she met with the orphanage staff in Peru, and what she learned about Fernando, she put in one paragraph, these 10 lines. Other adoptive parents told Becky and Don there should be more information. But Becky says when she called the adoption agency, she was told there was no more. And who's telling you this?
Pam, directly, Pam Reinhardt.
Told you no more information.
No more information is available. This is a third world country. This is, you know, they don't keep records like we keep, she said. They don't have extensive medical files.
Becky and Don Thomas say they took Pam Reinert's word. Fernando was healthy. There were no more medical records. So last February, they flew to Peru to meet their new son.
We were so excited.
But at the orphanage, Becky and Don Thomas discovered that Fernando, the little boy who was supposed to be normal, was not, and insurance would not cover his care.
And they come out with a file that looks like this. I mean, there was a lot of paper in that file.
From birth.
From
Medical
birth.
records.
Medical records. Presto, here they were, everything. Brain scans, the whole kit and caboodle.
He showed me 7 scans of Fernando's brain that was taken probably when he was 1 or 2 years old. And he said, now see, this spot here on the scan is what indicates the atrophy. This is where his brain should be.
He had brain damage, plain and simple.
And that's not all. Becky and Don say the orphanage told them Fernando would need treatment from a team of specialists, including a neurosurgeon. None of that had been in Pam Reinert's report.
I feel that the people in Peru did not give me a total picture of the child. We were not told that there was medical records and things available.
You didn't know, you tell me, because you didn't ask. Isn't that right?
I don't know if I asked or not. I don't have a tape recorder.
Pam Reinert says she doesn't remember if she asked whether there were medical records about Fernando. In this report, state officials in Wisconsin concluded that Pam Reinert's adoption agency had failed to meet minimum standards by failing to give available medical information to families. In effect, Pam Reinert had sent a couple 4,000 miles to live a parent's nightmare.
We cried. We cried a lot.
For 1 week in Peru, Becky and Don Thomas say they lived with Fernando. Each day they saw the depth of his disabilities, and they discovered their insurance would not pay for any of his care.
We had to decide to leave that country without our son. We had to make that decision.
Like, how do you explain to a child, you know, yeah, I was your father, but now I'm
Yesterday,
not going to be anymore.
I can't be your father anymore. Don had to go back to that orphanage and explain to that child why we couldn't take him home. I couldn't go. I absolutely could not go. He went back to that orphanage and sat down with that child and the psychologist tried to explain to that little boy why he couldn't be his papa.
The tragedy is, Becky and Don are not alone.
When we got this letter, this was going to be my baby.
This week, you will meet other people who say they too have been misled by Pam Reinert and her adoption agency. But there is more. The I-Team will tell you how Building Families sent this couple to Mexico to pick up their baby.
I was holding the baby. I went to the door, and I said to Kevin, there are police at our door.
Mexican police arrested them, questioned them for 27 hours, then seized their baby. This man, the man Building Families had sent them to, is under investigation for selling Mexican babies. The I-Team will take you undercover in Tijuana. The black market for baby is so large, we'll show you how a deal can start on a street corner.
How much are you paying for one baby?
In public, Pam Reinert and her husband tell families they are dedicated to the welfare of children. But this week you will see records obtained by the I-Team. Records that say the Reinerts have physically abused one of their own adoptive children.
His face doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. It never will.
This week, the stories of people like Becky and Don Thomas. People who say Minnesota authorities haven't done enough to stop Pam Reinert's adoption agency from causing more pain.
It's wrong. It's just wrong.
A footnote to this story. Some of the people you will meet this week have filed complaints with the state. They wanted other families to be warned. But in Minnesota, we've discovered the state won't let you see those complaints. Later this week, a question. Why does the state keep complaints about adoption agencies secret?
These well-dressed gentlemen have no idea that the delightful chill in the air is maintained by Honeywell control technology. But if they had to think about that, we wouldn't be doing our job. Honeywell, helping you control your world.
It was nightfall, and the kids' parents were still on the street looking for great prices on Police Academy from Kenner. Till I gave them this tip, hot-footed over to Children's Palace. At Children's Palace, you'll find the complete lineup of Kenner Police Academy toys, like the cadet set for $14.99 with nightstick and hydro hat, or the loudmouth bullhorn for $12.99. So for low prices every day, head for Children's Palace, America's favorite toy store. Case closed.
Right now, the last thing on Dr. Linda Johnson's mind is the Honeywell technology controlling the surgical environment. But if she had to think about that, we wouldn't be doing our job. Honeywell, helping you control your world.
It's the best way to change your oil.
Welcome.
It's fast. It's complete. And it's guaranteed. Valvoline Rapid Oil Change. People who know what they're doing.
For the inside story of Vikings football, turn to Vikings Sports Sunday with Mark Rosen. Each week, find out what happened on the field from the players who made it happen. Sunday nights following the 10 p.m. report on Channel 4, the Vikings station.
On Inside Edition, backstage with the hottest thing on steel wheels, the Rolling Stones.
It's terrifying. Inside Edition, Monday night at 10:35 on Channel 4.
Leave for work early tomorrow.
You'll probably be spending a little more time on the road than you normally do because we'll have rain changing over to snow sometime during rush hour tomorrow, so it could be a little treacherous.
And that adds a little ice.
We could have some freezing rain as well, possibly. Temperatures will be right around there, so it'll be rough. But leave for work early, you're right, and plan on spending a lot of extra time on the road and slow down, certainly. You know. Tomorrow will be nothing like today, and it was a beautiful Sunday to get some of that shopping in. The high temperature today, 41 degrees. The low temperature this morning was 17. We've had no rain or snow out there today. We might get a little bit of rainfall by midnight, but so far it's been dry. Currently outside, it is cloudy. The temperature 36. The relative humidity 79%. The dew point right now 30, and the barometer is falling. It reached 29.8 inches. We have a storm system that's really starting to wind up right now over in the Nebraska Panhandle. Ahead of this storm system, we've had some southeasterly wind at the surface, and that's kept us rather warm. In fact, some of the precipitation that is starting to break out right now is in the form of rain through South Dakota and western Minnesota. In the colder air, some of that is starting to change over to snow now, and the changeover from rain to snow at this time has been real clean. There's been no freezing rain so far, and that's good news, and hopefully that will be the case for us. As this storm system continues to develop tonight, it's going to move across to the east, and by tomorrow evening, it'll be located back in southern Wisconsin. And with this storm track, once again, the heaviest snow is expected to be to the northwest of the storm. That'll be right through central Minnesota and back to west central Wisconsin. Now, there are many factors that determine how much total snowfall we get from each storm, but there are two factors that we're looking at in particular, and that you can look at tomorrow as well, to determine how much snow we'll get here in the Twin Cities from this particular storm. First of all, what time that rain changes over to snow. Now, temperatures tomorrow morning around rush hour should be just above the freezing mark, so it'll start out as rain, and if it changes over to snow real early, that means we'll get a lot more snow than we expect. And if we have more, conversely, if we have more rain throughout the morning hours, we'll get less snow. That's one thing that we'll be watching. And also the speed of the storm system. If it really slows down tomorrow afternoon, we could get some more snow as well. So these are a couple of the things that we'll be watching, and so far, it looks as though we'll get between 4 and 7 inches from this storm system by tomorrow evening, once the whole thing moves on through. Here's a look at the satellite loop over the past 24 hours, and even though we did have some sunshine earlier today, those clouds are really starting to build up back in the Dakotas, and they've spread across the entire 5-state area so far. There is a little bit of precipitation out there right now. Within 120 miles of the Twin Cities, we're getting a little bit of rain shower activity that's been developing, mainly up along the Mississippi River up towards St. Cloud. A few other scattered showers down in western Wisconsin. But further out to the west, from the Huron, South Dakota radar, you can see a big batch of precipitation, especially between Huron and Pierre. All of this right now is rain, as temperatures right now back in the Dakotas are still in the low 40s. In fact, temperatures are only dropping below freezing between Alexandria and up towards Fargo, and again, that's where that rain is changing over to snow. We do have that winter storm warning out for all of central Minnesota, and a snow and blowing snow advisory for late tonight and Monday for the Twin Cities. And this storm system should be a real fast mover. It'll blow through here tomorrow afternoon, dump all the snow, and then be on its way. Behind it, strong, cold winds tomorrow that'll cause blowing and drifting snow in the afternoon. The forecast for the Twin Cities then for this evening, cloudy with rain developing late. It'll be becoming mixed with and changing to snow by morning with a low of 28 and a southeast wind at 10 to 20. Then a snow and blowing snow advisory tomorrow as well, with snow heavy at times, especially during the morning, and windy by the afternoon. Temperatures will be falling through the 20s. We'll have a northeast wind at 15 to 30 miles per hour. The snow will end tomorrow night and become partly cloudy with a low of 8, and then for Tuesday, partly cloudy and cold with a high of 20. The period Wednesday through Friday is calling for another chance of snow on Thursday and flurries Friday morning, and highs mainly in the 20s. Overnight lows in the single digits, warming up to the teens. So definitely a major snow event tomorrow. That's the way that it looks right now.
How much expected?
We're looking for between 4 and 7 inches here in the Twin Cities, greater amounts to the north, 6 to 10 in the warning area.
All right, very good. See you later, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Appropriately enough, tonight is the start of the Winter Storm Awareness Week in Minnesota, as officially declared by Governor Perpich.
Well, some people may think that winter doesn't hit us so hard anymore, but be reminded that only 5 years ago, in 1984, 21 people died while stranded in winter storms. So the National Weather Service and the Department of Public Safety have some tips for winter storm survival. First, keep ahead of the storm by listening for storm warnings.
Also, check to be sure that you have batteries for your flashlights and radios in case the power goes out. And check your supply of heating fuel before a storm hits.
Don't forget to check the refrigerator in your cupboards either, and stock up before a storm hits if you can. Another tip, carry a winter survival kit in your car.
And if you are stranded in a winter storm, stay with your vehicle. Don't wander away. And brush the snow away from the exhaust pipe if you try to run the car to warm up. A clogged tailpipe can be fatal.
Okay, good advice. Coming up in just a moment, R.J. Fritz will be here with a wrap-up of today's Vikes game. And he'll take a look into the future to see what may be in store.
The American farmer takes on a lot of tough jobs every day. He does everything he can to produce a good crop. And he does everything in his power to preserve our delicate environment, such as terracing his fields to control runoff and erosion, so that families like his can continue farming for generations to come. Brought to you on behalf of the American farmer by the makers of Dual Herbicide.
I know what he's getting. It's a pair of Levi's from Kohl's. It's just one of the great savings you'll find in this week's 68-page Christmas sale catalog. And look, everybody's getting family outerwear. They must have seen it was 30% off. You know, Oshkosh and Health Techs are 33% off. An RCA 13-inch portable TV, now there's a great gift. And why not? Kohl's has 16 pages of savings on brand name electronics and luggage. Plus, Sunday and Monday, you can take advantage of 64 extra bonus buys. Pack your bags, we're going to Kohl's.
Out of a few essentials? This week at Snyder's, up to $8 off photo processing when you buy Polaroid 35mm 1 film, 24 exposure, 200 speed at $2.99. Haviland 10-ounce chocolate candy, 2 for $3, and assorted Clarion cosmetics at 25% off. So next time you run out of something important, run into Snyder's.
Budget Power, the home improvement expert, helps you do it right and save. Turn unusable spaces into useful places with Schulte Closet Systems. The new Regency Oak combines the strength of ventilated wire shelving with solid oak fronts. Lufkin dependability stands out in the new Ultralock tape measure with 1-inch by 25-foot retractable blade. Code 12000, an advanced technology line of smoke and fire detectors from Jameson. Features louder horn, faster smoke response, test button, and more. On sale now at Budget Power.
Walker. Walker. 3rd and goal. Walker. No.
Nightmarish goal line stands.
I can't watch any more of this.
Yeah.
Showing horror films this late at night. 5 touchdowns in the last 5 games. You can't win division titles with those kind of numbers. Well, it is back to the drawing board. The Vikings losing to the Packers today. It is now actually a 4-game season between 3 teams in the NFC Central. The Vikings and Packers trading field goals in the first quarter. Then it was the magic man, Don Mikowski, to Sterling Sharp, 32 yards for the first touchdown of the day. Mikowski completing his first 14 today. This one made it 10-3 Packers. It was 10-6 Green Bay at intermission. Green Bay linebacker Tim Harris there being cheerleader most of the day and paid off most of the time. There were exceptions like this 26-yarder, Wade Wilson to Leo Lewis, but another one of those days when the Vikings could not put the ball in the end zone. Rich Carlos kicked his 3rd field goal. It was 10-9 Green Bay. Then the Vikes defense comes through as Mikowski was hurried. Joey Browner returned an interception 35 yards to set up the only Viking touchdown of the afternoon. And it was Herschel Walker from 6 yards out. This time he is in, and the Vikings have their first lead at 16-10, although a Chris Jackie field goal for the Pack cut the Vikes lead to 16-13 heading to the 4th. Green Bay has done this all season, win games in the 4th quarter. Mikowski to Sterling Sharp for their 2nd hookup of the day, 20-16 Packers. The Vikings failed to get a touchdown on 3 tries from Herschel, as we saw from close in. Settled for a field goal. The final score, Packers 20, Vikings 19. And we went to Kirk Loudermilk for an answer to the Vikings' woes.
Yeah, I think everybody played their heart out there. I mean, you know, I was in the huddle, and everybody gave everything they had out there. You know, and it's not like, you know, we're not trying to do it. It's just, you know, who knows what it is.
And stay tuned now for Viking Sports Sunday. Coming up in a few minutes, we'll be joined by Mark Rosen, Scott Studwell, and Herschel Walker on the set tonight. Next Sunday night, they don't get much bigger. The Bears at the Dome against the Vikings, and here's the main reason why. The Bears are 1 game behind the Vikings and the Packers in the Central Division. They still have the Packers to play at home. Today, the Bears lost their 2nd straight. In the 2nd quarter, down 14-0 at Washington. Thomas Sanders got the Bears back in that game. Sanders took the kickoff 96 yards for the Bears touchdown. Chicago eventually tied it at 14 before halftime, but that's when the roof caved in during the 2nd half. Art Monk was a work of art for the Redskins. Mark Rippon was ripping the Bears defense. Rippon and Monk teamed for 2 touchdown passes. Rippon threw for 4 touchdowns against the big, bad, and we mean bad, Bears defense. Final score, 38-14. Bears go down again. And the Jets knock off Atlanta 27-7. Kansas City shuts out Houston 34-0 in a surprise. Indianapolis knocks off San Diego 10-6. And it's the Raiders by 3 over New England. Tomorrow night, the Giants travel to San Francisco. In other games today, it rained on Miami. I mean, it poured. And you know the old saying, when it rains, it pours. That was the case as Pittsburgh took advantage of 5 Miami turnovers. Carnell Lake lateral to Dwayne Woodruff. Great run for a touchdown. 34-14 Steelers, who committed no turnovers. Dan Marino left the game with a bruised shoulder and a bruised ego. Revenge was sweet for Buffalo. They lost to Cincinnati, last year's AFC title game. Today, a Jim Kelly to Ron Harmon TD ignited a 24-7 Bills win over the Bengals, who dropped to 6-6. The Denver Broncos clinched the AFC West. John Elway, 4 TDs, although this is not one of them. Fooled you. 41-14. He's caught. They are in shape for a home field advantage. Vinny Testaverde to Mark Carrier with 43 seconds left. The Bucks, a 13 winner in Phoenix. A big win for the Bucks. Rotten debut for Coach Hank Kuhlman of the Cards. New Orleans tonight, Dalton Hilliard showed why he's a triple threat. Halfback option, Hilliard, a wide open Eric Martin. But that game in overtime, 17-all now, has moved to overtime and 17-all. Rams win? Yes. Rams win it. Okay, a field goal? Field goal. 2017, Rams win it. Well, if you're frustrated with the Vikings, at least you can turn to the North Stars. They have the best record in the National Hockey League right now. Tonight at the Met Center, the Stars beat Norris Division rival Chicago 5-3. Power play providing the power. Dave Gagne, one of 4 power play goals. Yes, you heard a lot about Mike Modano. Here's one reason why. The youngster knocks in his own rebound. A mid-air swing. That made it 2-0 after 1. The Stars had 3 in the second. Gagne with a nice speed here. Across the goal mouth to Mike Gartner. Gartner scored twice, as did Gagne. Stars have 33 points. They are 3 ahead of the Hawks, and they are now an amazing 12-1 at home. The Gophers' women's volleyball season is not over by a long shot. They'll play the Mid-East Regional Saturday night at Williams Arena. The Gophers will entertain Colorado. Now, if they win, they would advance to the Sweet 16, and we would love to show you highlights from today's World Cup skiing from Park City, Utah. There weren't any. The men's slalom postponed because of lightning. It will be run on Thursday, we're told, in New Hampshire. Well, lightning would be the only thing to keep Curtis Strange from winning the skins game. Strange made a bundle of chips with this chip shot. It was good for $135 in this made-for-TV excessive money event. Strange won $265 in the 2-day skins game. They're reaching right up there in Mike Walsher money territory. Oh, yeah. $265,000.
I've never chipped in like that. I'd pay a penny for that.
You never chipped in like. You make that kind of money, but you've never chipped in like that.
He makes that much?
Like a drop in pay. This.
Coming up next, a world-renowned choir visits the Twin Cities.
We need a 4-bedroom house with a gymnasium. I need to recapture my youth. My youth has gone out the door with my shag carpeting. She doesn't like when I put my arm up there.
First Minnesota, taking the family into account.
I borrowed $200 to take her on a honeymoon to Colorado Springs.
Borrowed from me.
From her? Because I was flat broke.
You see who's the money manager. First Minnesota, taking the family into account.
It's still the best. Our biggest ever sale on trucks. And it's still going on at Dodge. Get $2,000 cash back on our most popular half-ton pickup. $1,500 back on our most popular Dakota. 89s and 90s. If you want to save big bucks on tough trucks, see your Dodge dealer now. Because even the best can't last forever.
Every Monday, Harold Merck is a classroom grandparent and tutor to young Minneapolis students.
There's so many benefits to it. Besides being fun, there's that feeling of I've done some good. I really do enjoy it.
For using his retirement to share his wisdom and love, Harold was recently honored by Share Health Plan. Each year, Share Health Plan recognizes the special contributions of seniors as we salute all those who year-round take the time to share.
If you've been away from home this Thanksgiving holiday weekend, here's a recap of some of the top news. Authorities are investigating yesterday's early morning fire in South Minneapolis that claimed the life of a 38-year-old man. The search continued in Shell Lake, Wisconsin for an Edina woman missing from a plane crash earlier this month. And the Metrodome was filled with fans who came to see Minnesota's top high school football teams battle it out for #1. And the Burnsville Braves beat Stillwater for the trophy in AA.
The sounds of children are especially nice during the Christmas season, and perhaps you recognize these sounds. "24 choristers known as the Vienna Choir Boys performed at the Ordway this afternoon, continuing the Austrian tradition that began 5 centuries ago. The group has been touring in America since the 1930s. The Vienna Choir Boys is often called the world's most beloved choir. Its members sing with an angel-like quality. Oh, beautiful sound. And they also have to study while they're on the road, so they have a tutor with them and a nurse.
I can imagine. Good for the holidays. Good start to the holidays.
And that's it for us.
Yeah, drive safely tomorrow. We'll get through this storm coming our way, and Viking Sports Sunday is next.
Have a great week.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Amy, I hear your new teacher's real mean. Amy, would you come up here and bring your picture with you, please? Look at the picture.
There's a special power that can bring students and teachers closer together. The power to be your best.
Hey, how's your new teacher? Oh, she's okay.
One Christmas morning, a boy meets a friend. A friendship grows that'll never end. Don't you know? Love makes you real. It's what you feel that makes it so.
Make your own Velveteen Rabbit real. Waiting to be loved in 2 sizes. Only at Target.
Love makes you real.
I love National Camera Exchange. They have very low prices.
The salespeople at National Camera are the best.
National Camera Exchange has a gigantic selection.
Super VHS camcorder from JVC. I don't know if you know what Super VHS is like, much better than regular VHS. That's why they call it Super, I guess. But perfect for home movies.
I've just really enjoyed Minolta, and the 7000i has been wonderful.
National Camera Exchange really has to be the best camera store in the world.
Hennepin County residents throw away enough garbage to fill the Metrodome every year. Recycle. It makes a difference.
Oprah Winfrey, weekdays at 4 on Channel 4.